Muscatine City Council will please come to order, and we'll start this evening with a roll call by Greg Monsager.
Councilmember Lang.
Present.
Roby.
Present.
Bynum.
Present.
Shahade.
Present.
Natvig.
Present.
Fitzgerald.
Present.
Lorette.
Present.
All present, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Greg. And this is probably going to be somewhat of a long evening, but thank you so very much for being here in council chambers this evening. It's always fun to look up and see the chambers when it is filled with a lot of people, good things to talk about. We're going to talk about tonight a comprehensive plan update and an annexation update. I tried to talk with some of you out there a few minutes ago just to make you understand, or to help you understand. This is a discussion. We are not here for debate tonight, not that you can't express an opinion or any other thing, but we are here to discuss and to learn what is it that we're talking about, what are we going to do, where are we going to go. It's for council, certainly, as much as it is for you. So having said that, we'll get on with the agenda this evening. I'm going to start with Greg Monsager.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just real quick, Andrew will be presenting tonight on both items. The first item we have tonight is the comprehensive plan, and Andrew's been working on that, and he has just a real brief update before we jump into annexation tonight. Andrew, since he's been on staff, has been working to update the information, the numbers in the comp plan, and before we take it to a public process. So I'm going to turn it over to Andrew.
Yeah. And I'll try and keep this relatively brief on the comp plan so we get to the other item on the agenda. As Greg was saying, the process that should ultimately lead to the creation of a new comprehensive plan has begun. The first step is for staff to review the existing update and begin the process of updating all the technical and background data contained within it. And good examples with this would be census information or demographics based on the census, since we have new
Can
census.
everybody here?
My apologies.
Speak up, right.
Updating things such as
All right.
demographic info based on the new census information, completed capital improvement projects, updated traffic counts, rezonings, annexations, et cetera, things that have happened over the past 10 years. And then the other thing the staff been doing is reorganizing the document and creating new maps that are easy to read. And the intent of this is to make a document that is easier to read. And starting last Tuesday, we've begun the process involving the Planning and Zoning Commission in the review in this document. So what happened was I brought the first chapter where this process has been completed for, which is the chapter on transportation. We looked at it and discussed it for about an hour last Tuesday. Got a lot of good feedback for the Planning and Zoning Council. And we'll be going back and forth on this and all the chapters for a while until ultimately what we want to produce in this step of the process is the current document, but with the background and technical information updated, with new maps that are easier to read and organized in easy to use format. And once
Can you hear now, people?
Turn that up.
Can you hear all right? This is very important, so might slow down just a hair. I won't interrupt you again, but I want to be sure everyone can understand you.
Okay. Then once we have this updated document, then we're going to begin the process of involving the public to update the goals, objectives, and policies of the plan. So that's where we're at now in the process. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have on it at this time.
Council?
I attended the Planning and Zoning meeting on Tuesday evening, and I thought that it was, there was a lot of good information received from the comments of the commissioners on that. So there's a good start.
Mayor, I don't think any of it's been shared with us yet, has it?
No,
Not yet.
no.
Okay. Don't have any questions yet.
So where do we go from here, Andrew?
Andrew will continue to update the chapters, the information, the census data, updating the numbers, the maps, et cetera. Before we make that a public process, we'll come back to the council and talk about the process and how we're going to move forward so that we can get public input. There'll probably be charrettes or, several public sessions where the public can have input into the goals and policies that we'll be looking forward in the next comprehensive plan. But we'll be back to the council.
I would sincerely hope so,
Oh, yes.
because right at this
Yes.
particular moment, I'm looking, maybe the rest of the council's all right, but I'm looking around like this is all there is.
That's right. We're not doing much tonight. We just wanted to update you on where we are in the process, that's all.
And when would you anticipate that this would be brought back for further clarification?
Oh, when do you think we'll be ready to start taking this public?
I would hope that early next year, probably, that this will probably be about another 4 to 6 months in getting the document cleaned up.
Okay.
So we're going to follow the same kind of process we did previously, the charrettes at the various locations in the community and so forth to work up the public information section.
That's what we've talked about. We haven't really gone into depth at this point in time, but that's what I'm thinking, and we've talked very briefly about as well. But we'll be back to the council to talk about the process, absolutely. Yep. Right now, we're just doing the staff level work. Andrew is updating the numbers, taking the new census numbers and updating the numbers. That's all we're doing right now, and new maps, et cetera. Yep.
Council, do you have any questions at this point?
No, Mayor.
I don't think any of us know how to ask a question at this point.
That's fine, that's fine. Just an update.
Oh, okay, and you have nothing else to add, Andrew?
Nope. Be happy to, anyone on council's interested in the documents that we're working with, they'd be happy to share them, so drop me a message, I'll send it your way.
Why don't we do that? Why don't we, when you have the chapters ready to go to the zoning board, well, of course, those agendas are all public as well. I'm assuming the council will sign up for those as well. They're all in those packets as well, but we can send them out specifically too. So,
I'll make sure that happens.
thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The next item on tonight's agenda, and the only other item on tonight's agenda, is annexation update. Okay, are you ready, Greg?
I'm ready. This is, again, Andrew's show tonight. Andrew's at the podium. All stones can be directed his direction. Just to remind the council, we've talked a little bit about annexation prior to this. City Council goals for the last year and this current year include annexation, a review of annexation to determine, to do a cost-benefit analysis, and provide council with information to determine whether or not we should move forward with annexation. In addition, to date, we've looked at some of the benefits involved with annexation in these areas, taxes essentially, revenue. We have also looked at the annexation process. City Community Development Director Steve Boca reviewed the annexation process. We looked at involuntary annexation, voluntary annexation. We looked at the 80-20 process as well, where 80% of the landmass is in favor of annexation, 20% can be involuntary. So we looked at those issues as well. Tonight, we're going to start looking at the cost involved with annexation. And Andrew has done a thorough job of looking at those costs, and I'm going to turn it over to Andrew to start a review. He's got a PowerPoint. You should have a copy of that PowerPoint at your table tonight, as well as the packet that Andrew provided in the agenda. So, Andrew?
Okay, thank you. As been previously stated, a City Council strategic goal calls for a cost-benefit analysis of annexation in general to be conducted. The intent of this report is to examine the fiscal implications of annexation to the city of Muscatine. This report details the baseline costs of annexation, costs for optional improvements such as taking over maintenance of private streets within existing subdivisions, extending sewers into existing subdivisions are not included in this report. All the areas studied for annexation, and there's 30 of them, are located with this general area of interest, which can be roughly described as the area bounded by the northern limit of the city, 180th, Mulberry, and then the eastern edge of the city. And so that's just a map of where all these areas are located. 30 areas within the general of interest were studied. They represent all major combinations of segments of infrastructure that may be needed to construct it or maintained if annexation were to occur. And you have a map of all 30 of those areas in the written report. Projections for property tax revenues were made using 2010 assessment values and the current City of Muscatine property tax rate. Additional revenue was calculated by using the estimated population for each area studied and applying the formula for the state road use tax fund, which is distributed by the state on a per capita basis. And so in everything you see tonight, this is where the revenue projections are coming from, these two sources. And now I'm going to examine some of the costs that were examined. The first one I'm going to talk about is the fire department. Two different scenarios providing fire protection and emergency medical service to any area annex were examined. They are as follows. The current firefighter to resident ratio is maintained by hiring and stationing firefighters at current fire stations, or that the additional population of any annexed area and the distance from existing fire stations trigger the need to construct a third fire station. The first scenario is assuming that there is no fire station built, and in the report it details the number of firefighters that would be needed to hire to maintain the current ratio of firefighters to residents. It also assumes a capital cost for purchasing an additional pumper truck. In discussions with the fire chief, it was revealed that currently the fire department doesn't have the pumper truck of the necessary size to serve this area because of deficient water mains in the area. So that would be a necessary capital cost. Okay. The second scenario assumes the construction of a third fire station. A third fire station on the northeast side of the city, in addition to serving any annexed area, would also serve more than 7,000 of the current residents of the city of Muscatine. In calculating the cost of this, only the proportion of the total capital and annual operating costs of the new fire station that is equal to the total population served by this new fire station is attributed to the annexed area. So if the annexed area was only making up 20% of the people served by that fire station, I'm only attributing 20% of the cost to it because only 20% of the benefit would be going there. So that's what that means. Also in this one, it still assumes that a new pumper truck would have to be purchased, and because this would only be used for serving these annexed areas, the entire cost of that is attributed to any annexation scenario. Okay, next one. The report also details the number and cost of the police officers that would need to be hired to maintain the current police officer to resident ratio for each potential annexation area. It also includes the additional capital costs of adding police officers, which includes things